So the project today will be totally scrapping my existing fuel system from the pump rearward. After the whole sludge thing, I don't really feel like pulling out an old 12-gallon tank and cleaning it out and resealing it and everything else involved. So Summit came through with overnight shipping, which apparently they didn't charge me to it before. So I guess if you upgrade your shipping and they know you're going to get it next day anyway, no extra charge, which is very cool on their part. Only thing I'd wish I had known before I ordered everything was that pretty much everything in this box, except maybe the hose, I don't know, is made in China. I think I would have rather picked up US made stuff. So my first dive into the AN fitting world, I guess I'll have to check out AeroQuip and see who else makes some fittings that are US sourced. And if anybody on here is aware of a brand, just comment below and let me know, because I'm more than willing to buy US made for many reasons. So anyway, this is what I'll be working with today. A lot of dollars in this little box. I think probably more than the fuel cell itself, which actually was made in the US. So I'll get this out of the way and give you guys an unboxing view of my fuel cell. So here comes the unboxing of a Rhodes Race Cars 20-gallon aluminum fuel cell. So the box actually showed up in pretty decent shape, actually better shape than my hood scoop box did. So let's cut it open, see what we have. So far the packing looks pretty solid. Bit of blow-in foam, which may make me regret opening this up inside of my Jeep, but I don't know. We'll wait and see. Yeah, this thing's in here pretty solid. Yeah, cut for a minute and grab my trash can so I can start throwing some of this stuff away. All right, I ended up cutting some box corners here. It's gonna make it a lot easier to get this thing out. And at this point, the plastic is pretty much glued to that blow-in foam. We got some Rhodes Race Cars stickers. Basic warning that gasoline is highly flammable, which I believe. I ordered the flat bottom tank. So we've got fuel sender, vent line, return line, of course fill, and then the pickups are at the bottom, which for now I'll use one. Eventually I'm going to cap these off, drill somewhere and drop in one of Holly's Dynamats to use for my fuel pickup. So may do that closer to the time I go to fuel injected. But for now, I'd say this thing looks pretty sharp. It actually comes with a pressure check for leaks sticker on it. So assuming it was pressure checked, it should be solid and good to go. So I guess for now, get ready to start getting this thing in the trunk. Alright, the sun's bright enough. I'm actually going to try some inside the cell footage, get an idea of what it looks like inside. Should be the pickups. Opposite side. back on. Pull this out before I drop it in there. Well, it didn't take long to hit the first hang-ups here. So, for one, I was assuming the pickups were on the long side, not the short side. But you can see, as it says at the moment, not the case. Turning it the other direction, I have to be able to fit the return line and vent line fittings under the prop rods for the deck lid. So that's going to be a problem. My cutoff switch mount location shaves off a lot of space, so I need to try and shift the whole thing leftward, which that I'd kind of anticipated. Actually, if it had been the other direction, I would have had a few more inches right in here to clear, so it wouldn't have been quite as big of a deal. And I hadn't really planned on cutting down my trunk floor today, so I'm going to try and make this fit in here as best as possible. And if I can do it, I'll share with you all how. Later on, when I mini tub the thing, right, the trunk floor will probably go away anyway, and I'll refit the thing then, or actually put in a full FIA rated cell at that time, probably with a little larger capacity than 20 gallons. But for now, this is what we're working with. So I'm gonna kill the camera while I do some maneuvering. By the way, even getting this thing in the trunk with the notchback with the narrow trunk lid does require use of the spare tire well. Without that, there's no way this would go in here. It might if you pulled off the trunk catch and you don't have a cutoff, then you could probably get it in here sideways, right? Or what I assumed is sideways. But anyway, I'm gonna kill the camera here, and we'll come back in, well, whenever I get things sorted out. So hopefully it's like 10-15 minutes. Reality will probably be an hour or so. Hopefully it's not going to take like 2 or 3 with a lot of sweating and beating and swearing off camera. So I'll be back. All right, first initial plan here. I get up under here and see how close this fitment is. This is with the tank. So if I raise it up a bit, get a little bit more space. So what I'm going to attempt to do is to pull one of the trunk lid support rods, the lowest one to begin with, and free up a little space to twist this and scoot it under there. After I've done that, I'm going to try and twist the tank back into the proper orientation and see if I can then clear the latch and cut off. And if I can, that may become the solution. But you know, if it doesn't, I'll be back to report. Why not? So wish me luck. Okay, change of plans. Got one side unhooked, the thing springs down super quick, and working it down out of here a little more difficult than I had planned. Meaning I can't do it with my fingers. More clearance under the center line of this, so you can see where this side of the tank has a bit more space. Right here, right? Fingers under, pry it up. On the edge, I was able to pry this one up and get the initial fitting under, but that other rod is not going anywhere. So I'm going to try and spin the tank around, which means taking it completely back out of the trunk, getting it completely back down in here, and then hopefully with that move there'll be plenty of space right there to work all of this underneath, right? And then it'll be a matter of probably getting a you know, some type of damper to put under those rods. I'll probably do is just slit some fuel line lengthways or use some of my braided loom to slip over those, so wherever they rub on here, it's you know, not grinding through it, and try and find something that does not cause static electricity buildup. And one of the other things they actually mention in the instructions too is making sure you ground the tank. So again, dealing with gasoline, I'll make sure I do every last bit of that. So here goes trial 2 on getting this in here without having to do any cutting, hammering, or otherwise destructive and repair work today. Okay, I am back. Actually, just a couple minutes later. That worked well, right? Still have the support rods. You can see it rubs on the corner, which is something that'll have to be dealt with. Running my vent line, I can probably do from inside the car for the moment, especially considering before I can run this at the track, I'll have to seal all that off anyway. And next thing I want to check is make sure I have room to actually get the cap on with no problem. So that's good. At the moment, I took some scrap aluminum bar stock I had, which you can see is just barely long enough to support this. And this is probably what I'll be using in lieu of running an entire piece of sheet metal to support the underside. I'll just throw 3 or 4 of these underneath. I'll have to go buy some more and cut some, but easily done. So next concern, will the trunk lid close? So we'll find out looking at where the latch catches, right, compared to how the latch is set up. This would be the biggest interference, I believe, right here. So we'll lower the thing down carefully and see what happens. Like a champ. You ever like it when you have one of those days where things actually seem to go halfway right? Working on this kind of stuff? Because I know I do. And with that other tank rod undone, you can see this doesn't have a lot of lift to it until it's actually up. But at this point, I think I'm going to dig out the mounting straps and try and see what's involved with those and see if we can get those in here. So, because I didn't feel like dragging out my bender today, which if anybody needs one, I've got one from Swag Off-Road. Thing's incredible, right? Mounted up on a Harbor Freight press, but didn't feel like doing all that measuring today. I wanted it to be a simple install, so I actually ordered the mounting kit that is supposed to go with this very tank. So we'll get this thing out of the box, see how it looks, trial fit up in there, and then it'll be time to cut some aluminum bar stock for under the tank supports, get those mounted, and then yank the factory tank and move along. Okay, I've got the box cut open, so let's see what we have. Looks like some plasma cut aluminum strips. Bit thinner than what I use for my bar stock for things like this. I think those are for under the tank. Then it looks like for over the tank. We've got the pre-bent with bolt points, right? Something matching up here. And it does come with bolts, with washers, with lock nuts. So pretty much exactly what I would have built on my own without being able to plasma cut. So, and the bending, right, I would have had to take the measurements and do all of that as well. I'll save that for when I cut the floor out. For now, this looks like a pretty solid mount kit, so I'll start getting it squared away in there and sort it out and see how this goes. What I'm guessing is going to have to happen is 2 of these mounts are going to go on the front up under the deck lid and go through the floor. And for the rear mount points, I am more than likely going to have to make sure I measure and fit one of these pieces of flat bar under this tank in a way that I can mount them to it to keep everything solid in there. And then at some point I may come back and fit another one that goes across the tank the opposite direction and bolts down to the floor as well, just to make sure every side has some kind of support. So anyway, I'll start getting this under there, show you what it looks like after. Okay, so after getting this underneath here, you can see that's going to add a little extra bit of height, and more importantly, it's going to add a little bit of extra height right there, which is going to hit that lower rod. So after thinking about it for a bit, you can see over here it clears perfectly fine, right? Now I thought maybe, well, I twist the tank back sideways, decided no, I really want to keep the sumps at the rear, especially after all the stuff I've gone through with fueling problems for the last month every time I've tried to go out and enjoy this. So given that the tank, or the trunk lid, does stay up on its own with that one tension rod more or less removed once it's up, I'm going to try and go ahead and pull that rod to free up the space, and then see if with the space freed